Greetings, everyone. This is Tony Holowitz, and I want to thank you for being here for this podcast. So, on occasion, I'll get a phone call that really sort of sticks with me. And I got a phone call last week about ACT and someone wanting to buy the software. And when I informed the person that ACT was no longer sold as a one time offering, the person got really mad. He said, I've been using ACT for years and years and years, and I can't believe now it's an annual subscription. And he got really upset. He was upset at me. He was upset at ACT. He was upset at the software. He was upset at the company that made it. And it got me to thinking, how do you work with someone who uses ACT as a tool that really saw it as a valuable tool, but is so adamant that he or she would never pay for an annual subscription? They're just totally against an annual subscription. Now, what I've learned over the last 2 or 3 years is I'm not here to try to change anyone's opinion. That is never my goal. That's never what I want to do. All I'm trying to do is present some facts and suggest some things. There's no way I'm going to change that person's mind, and I fully get that. But this is what gets me. On September 15th, when ACT stopped selling ACT as a one-time purchase, it occurred to me that people are so used to buying ACT software as a one-time purchase and potentially having it for years and years and years. And I recently had a client that also was upset. They had bought ACT software. They spent roughly $350 for it, and they had it for like 5 years. So it cost them $70 a year. And the concept or the thought of all of a sudden spending roughly $400 a year to buy ACT, it just was outrageous to them. They couldn't conceive of buying software for that price. And I started realizing that, okay, this is a different time in the use of ACT. It's a different time in the way people have to think about the software. They're so ingrained with thinking of it as a one-time purchase that they never have to pay for again. How do I help them pass that? How do I convince them? And what I came to realize is I cannot change their mind. I cannot convince them. So I think what happens is we need to think completely different about ACT. We have to reframe the conversation. We have to rethink ACT. And having said that, this is what I advise, or this is what I think I would advise people going forward when it comes to ACT. Don't think of it as ACT anymore. Think of it as a different tool, a different experience. When you buy ACT software today, what you get is you get the ACT software. You also get a mobile app called ACT Companion, and you also get ACT Marketing Automation. So let me just talk about those three things, because those are the three primary things you get, in my opinion. ACT Companion is a mobile app, and a lot of you have said to me, well, I don't use that. I don't need it. I don't need it on my phone. And that's fine. It's a utility. It's there if you want it. I think it has some value. But again, I can appreciate how some people might not need that. It's not, in my opinion, really what I would refer to as a profit center for using ACT. In other words, it doesn't really make you money necessarily. Having said that, one of the things that comes with ACT is ACT Marketing Automation. Think of Constant Contact or MailChimp built right into ACT. Well, I believe this is a tool, a profit center for ACT. In other words, you can use this tool to reach out to either your prospects or to your clients and just say hello to them. Prospects, hey, you might get a sale if you send an email out. Clients, you know what? Send them an email once a quarter, just thanking them for their business. I believe just the act of touching people with an email periodically is not a bad thing. I think it's a great thing to do. And I can't get over so many people saying, yeah, I wouldn't use that. I wouldn't do that. In fact, this person that called me, we started talking, and he said, you know what? I've got about 200 contacts in my database that I really work with. But then as we talked further, he said his database consisted of about 2,200 contacts. And I said, well, how many of those contacts have an email address? He said the vast majority of them. So my first reaction as a business person was, okay, why not send an email out to all the other 2,000 that you're not interacting with and just see if potentially there's some business there? That one single email is going to give you a lot of information. First of all, it's going to tell you who's still there. In other words, ACT has information you can see inside it after sending that email of all the emails that bounced, all the people that opened it, people that have opted out. You start to be able to look at some of the statistics behind the scenes, some of the reports, some of the information, and all of a sudden you start to get a feel for your database, your data. So when you send that first email out, you're going to get a lot of good information back. But I do think as a tool, what email can do for you is give you a sense of the quality of your data, give you a sense of the people that are still viable in that database because of the information or the feedback you're going to get. So in my way of thinking, there is no reason not to send out an email. Send it out. Now, some people have said to me, emails are not effective. Well, okay, maybe so. But again, if you get one extra sale a year, can that easily pay for the cost of ACT many times over? And that's why I'm trying to get people to rethink how they think about ACT. Don't think of it as an expense. Think of it as a tool that can potentially help your business make more money. So now we're taking ACT and we're pointing it or looking at it from a different point of view. My concept of working with people is try to educate, try to give a different point of view, try to suggest stuff and say, hey, maybe this will work for you. First of all, if you're considering a subscription and that really pains you, think of ACT differently. Think of ACT as the least expensive employee you're ever going to hire. It's an employee that organizes all your data, keeps track of your calendar, keeps track of your conversations that you've had with people in ACT. $400, it's a tool, it's an asset. Next, think of ACT as a sales tool. With the email marketing, if you say to me, hey, I would never use that, I'd never send out an email, once a quarter, send out an email just saying thank you to your clients. Once a quarter, send an email out to all the other people in your database and just see if maybe they buy something. Let's see if we can get them to become a customer. You've got everything to gain and nothing to lose. ACT Marketing Automation is the MailChimp or the constant contact that's built right into ACT. And once you see what it can do, you might be sort of surprised and it might just make you some money. ACT might pay for itself many times over. So think of ACT not as an expense. Think of ACT as a profit center. Think of it as a tool that makes your life easier. Think of ACT as a tool that costs about $1 a day. Think of ACT as a tool that helps you stay organized. Think of ACT as a partner in a relationship that has lasted for many, many years. Think of ACT differently. And I think you'll like what you see. I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for listening to me. I want to thank you for considering ACT in the future. Okay, everyone, you have a great day. My name is Tony Holowitz. If I can answer any of your questions, do not hesitate to reach back to me. Be well, my friends.